Right, hello, good morning, and welcome to the show. This is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. It's a Wednesday, the 6th day of April 2022. By His grace, we're live and we're here with yet another edition of this show. Our gratitude will go to Most High God for the rare privilege of being alive and, of course, the opportunity of having another conversation around the top stories making the rounds here in our dear Republic. I'll let you into our panel for the morning's conversation shortly. But let's take a look at the front pages of our newspapers. Daily Graphic. Dealing with quarry land encroaches. Nationwide clampdown begins. Jinapo. Economic recovery on course. President Akufo-Addo. CPP in turmoil. Legal fraternity to the rescue. 3 MPs to face committee for absenteeism. Ghanaian Times. Absenteeism in Parliament. Speaker refers 3 MPs to privileges committee. Majority disagrees. Minority hints of challenging decision. Supreme Court to decide fate of Asin North MP April 13. Technical glitch causes confusion at school placement center in Accra. Apiati Support Fund Committee backs 35.8 million cedis for reconstruction of community. Daily Guide. 3 NPP MPs hot. Burger and Coat MPs fate set for April 13. Kumasi Shoe Factory designs chic footwear. Lakeside Village. French envoy hosts diplomatic dinner. The New Crusading Guide. Baumia speaks on economy tomorrow as NPP Youth Wing, Dankwa Institute's Tescon Confab kickstarts. 35 million Ghana cedis not enough to rebuild Apiati. Joyce Ayi. Oduma Solutions set to launch Africa's biggest cybersecurity operations center. Cabinet approves conversion of extant timber concessions and permits into timber utilization contracts. Recent mining-related conflicts, serious investor distrust, and national security threats. The Insight. Doomsor looms. Kwabena Donko warns over government failure to increase energy capacity. Mining-related conflicts, a threat to national security and foreign investor interest. Dr. Solomon Usu admonishes government. After meeting military hierarchy over Ghana Armed Forces offenses, Adam J. appeals to Boku Naba, others to ensure peace. Hotels to increase prices over harsh economic situation. The Informer. $25 million who airports misplaced priority as airlines suspend operations due to low patronage. On Kwesi Nyantechi's scandal, Bagbin exposes FIFA's hypocrisy. Ghana Integrity Initiative demands clarity. Adwoa Safu Bruhaha, end of road as Speaker goes tough. Rebuilding of Apiati, Obiara Ntiebi, Joyce Ayi edges all. Zoom Lion wins Excellence Award. Computer placement unfair. Destroys tradition. Former Gimpa rector. The Herald. NPP's brutal hunt for Asin North seat by judicial schemes angers NDC. Sarah Adwoa Safu and recruiting Kennedy Japan to be ousted on absenteeism. Police service still concealing identity of rogue officer. Baumia addresses e-levy rift with Oforiatta tomorrow? Question. Government's 10 billion cedis indebtedness to road contractors out. Leaves marriages broken. 35 killed by shock and high BP. The Daily Statesman. More troubles for Asin North MP. Supreme Court dismisses review application. Joyce Ayi. 35.8 million cedis not enough to rebuild Apiati. Baumia speaks on economy tomorrow. Speaker refers 3 MPs to privileges committee. The Daily Searchlight. Is Mahama boycotting Akufo-Addo? Majority leadership raises concern. National Road Safety Authority to engage road users on Stay Alive Easter campaign. NLA to aggressively sanitize lottery sector. Ghanaian Publisher. Major boost for timber exports. Cabinet approves 156 timber concessions and permits. Frances exposes GCMC board. Ghana a safer mining environment. Western Regional Minister. Questions days numbered. Supreme Court throws out latest application. Muntaka Bagbin, clash over Adwoa Safu. The Custodian. Do for rescues neglected NDC foot soldiers. Government promotes legal timber exports. Supreme Court dismisses evicted in court Asin North MP. ASF gets 35 million, but insufficient to rebuild Apiati. Bagbin, Muntaka clash over absentee MPs. The Finder. 540 housing units, roads, clinics, schools, memorial center, etc. 35.8 million Ghana cedis not enough to rebuild Apiati. Committee chair makes passionate appeal for more donations. Dr. Baumia to speak on economy tomorrow. Speaker refers 3 MPs to privileges committee. Cabinet approves competitive system of allocating timber resources. Journalists, investigative bodies, collaboration vital. COP Tiwa Adodankwa. Business and Financial Times. Home ownership dream fades as building materials prices skyrocket. Labor cost up 50%. Housing deficit to widen. MIF upbeat about prospects of Asante's Mensin Gold BBNE mine. Government exposure to SOEs at 21.53 billion cedis in 2020. 17 winners announced at Made in Africa Technovate Awards. Feature from mine to market, startups building business on ideas. NIC MTTD bosses embark on motor insurance education. And that's about it. For the front pages, we'll be back shortly.
Do you want a modern vision for your office or a touch of sophistication for your living and bedroom spaces? Look no further than Kingdom Books and Stationery. At Kingdom Books and Stationery, we've been selling furniture and stationery for more than 20 years. Ours is a trusted brand that offers contemporary furniture designs that are elegant and timeless. And with so many designs, there is something for everyone. Discover our enormous range of affordable office furniture. We have executive and swivel chairs, office desk, tables and office equipment such as office safes, computers and accessories, as well as cabinets and shredders. Make your home a sanctuary with our wide range of home furniture, including beds, wardrobes, coffee and dining tables, and poolside chairs. And that's not all. We have hard copy books, notebooks, and all the accessories you would need for school or your workplace. So visit us today. You can locate us on the Osutla Road or the Akwa J Junction in Accra. Alternatively, you can shop online at www.kingdomstoreonline.com. Kingdom Books and Stationery, delivering the promise.
Ever the TV and the sound system. High sensitive pro adrenaline tiasia so na ebrew. Model bia, size bia.
Every day you enjoy.
4K quality TV. I was smart features. Hisense laser TV. A 4K picture quality. High definition and kasa. Hisense sound system. Bass at bass, treble at treble, a jigum. Everything 28 March, everything 8 April. Dada, Madam Hisense, Matiti Swamam say, who? Ko Hisense showroom na kwa Jodie. And more promo way in sound home. Hisense, everyday prices for everyday people.
I'm tired and frustrated. After meeting all our targets, company cannot help us with our health needs.
Honestly, they are not helping us. Something has to be done about this.
You see, just yesterday I was at the hospital with my wife. And can you imagine the amount of money being charged? So outrageous.
Relax, guys. Just leave everything to me. Today I will deal with him accordingly.
You have to.
I surely will. Today be today. Sir, you want to leave. We are tired. You've been doing everything possible to ensure the success of this organization, but it looks like our healthcare is not taken into consideration. Am I speaking your mind?
Yes, you are.
And that is not fair.
Get a Cosmopolitan health insurance for all your employees today and have an easy life. Call us for your package.
Okay, guys, you are leaving because I have good news for you.
Cosmopolitan health insurance, providing the highest levels of coverage possible to our clients.
Over 18 years in business, Appointed Time Printing Limited has delivered quality service to some of Ghana's well-known brands. With our equipment capacity, we are able to deliver 1,500 pieces of polo and t-shirts in 1 hour. This is only possible with us. For retailers and wholesalers, we offer for sale high-quality polo shirts and t-shirts in different colors at affordable prices. We have a one-stop shop for all creative designs and billboards, 3D signages, flexi banners, car branding, stickers and posters. Locate us at the old GNTC building near Swansea Shopping Arcade, Accra. Contact us on 0501 454165, 0501 454167. Connect with us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook at Appointed Time GH. Appointed Time Printing Limited. Our printing is a...
Stop that trash. Stop it now. Stop that trash. Stop all that trash. Stop it now. Your girlfriend gives you a new ride. Then you go pick your side chick. Are you taking her for a ride? This lifestyle, dear, trash it. If you get dustbin for your place, do the shocky as you trash your waist. When you baller, you nigga some then hide your face.
Zoom Lion is giving you 1 million bins for free to get rid of your trash. Download the Zoom Lion app now for your free bin, or make trash collection payment, or simply dial *857#. Zoom Lion, your waste management expert.
The all-new original Ayuko Drive is finally here on Original 91.9 FM every weekday from 6 to 9 p.m. I'm your chief driver, the Bandolero, the people them favorite souvenir and chancellor, Sammy B, and DJ was asking owners of businesses, both big and small, to join in on the Ayuko experience. Advertise on the all-new Ayuko Drive on 91.9 FM starting this month of April, and your business will never be the same. Original Ayuko Drive. Let us go.
Are you hopeful about Ghana?
I cannot afford not to.
Is it just because you are Ghanaian?
There's too much going for Ghana for it not to work.
Ghana is not a poor country.
And why do you say that?
We are a poorly managed country.
Lifestyle, the way and manner a people live, their politics, way of governance, socio-cultural lifestyle, health habits, and everything that comes with it. Lifestyle with Rosie is a show about Ghana and for Ghana.
Is there something like an ideal time for a woman to have a child?
Early 20s.
Doc, you agree with me?
The time they are telling you, don't be, that is the time that your body says, yes, this is the best time.
Interesting. Are people taking more mortgage, or people are self-building their homes still as it's been?
Vast number of people still out there that are buying the land. Unfortunately, some people actually pass away and that building never gets completed.
But you can also die through paying mortgage.
Well, there's a way to go around that anyway, so you're covered.
Right. Ghana is for us. If we don't talk about our issues and highlight our challenges and find solutions to them, who will? Lifestyle with Rosie is here to bring you all the intricate conversations of nation building, on health, and all the complexities of life that we find difficult to talk about as a people. Hi, my name is Rosie, and I'm your host on this show. There are no limits to what to expect. It's educative, informative, thought-provoking, and very exciting. And oh yes, I can't wait to spend time with you Saturdays at 6 p.m. Make a date.
Parliament, the official source, the credible source, the authentic source you rely on is on the votes and proceedings of that day. That is what assists us to take a decision on quorum of attendance. Honorable members, I have expended time to read out these various provisions relating to attendance of Parliament to ensure members, and more importantly, the general public, are apprised with the legal regime within which a member's attendance or non-attendance to the sitting of Parliament is observed and enforced. The constitutional provision of Article 97(1)(c) and Order 16.1 of the standing orders do not indicate whether the absence of the member need to be continuous or cumulative. As a constitutional provision, however, the issue of a member having vacated his or her seat in Parliament as a result of absence of the member from Parliament commenced in Ghana's constitutional jurisprudence under the 1957 Independence Constitution. Article 26(2) of the 1957 Constitution provides as follows, I quote, "The seat of a member of Parliament shall become vacant, B, if he shall be absent from 2 consecutive meetings of the Assembly, without having obtained from the Speaker, before the termination of either of such meetings, permission to be or to remain absent therefrom." The relevant provision in the 1969 Constitution reduces the number of days a member who was absent from Parliament would have his or her seat declared vacant. This could be found in Article 75(2) of the 1969 Constitution, particularly 75(2)(c), which states, and I quote, "A member of the National Assembly shall vacate his seat in the Assembly, C, if he is absent without the permission in writing of the Speaker and is unable to offer a reasonable explanation to the Privileges Committee from 15 consecutive sittings of the Assembly during a period that the National Assembly has been summoned to meet and continues to meet." So we've moved away from 2 consecutive meetings to 15 consecutive sittings within a meeting. A similar provision was repeated in the 1979 and 1992 constitutions, but without the operative phrase consecutive sittings. That phrase was dropped in the 1979 and the 1992 constitutions. The practice, however, proffered by sister parliaments gleaned from a research document published by the Interparliamentary Union titled "The Parliamentary Mandate, a Global Comparative Study with respect to how the absentee dates ought to be computed," appears to be that of a consecutive preference. In India, for example, if a member fails to attend meetings of the Lok Sabha for a period of 60 days or more without the Assembly's authorization, his or her seat may be declared vacant. Considering the fact that the 1979 and 1992 constitutions and now standing orders do not include the word consecutive in the computation of the 15 days, it is my considered view that the clear intention of the drafters of this constitution is to differ from the previous computation. I therefore submit with all humility that Article 97(1)(c) be read, understood, and applied as it provided for in our Constitution and standing orders, without importing any word or words thereto. I have accordingly come to the irresistible conclusion that a member who absents himself or herself from 16 sitting days of Parliament in a particular meeting without the permission in writing of the Speaker is caught squarely within the ambit of Article 97(1)(c) of the 1992 Constitution and Order 16.1 of the Standing Orders of Parliament. I must also draw the attention of the House to a decision of the Court of Appeal dated 11 December 2008 in the case of Professor Stephen Kweku Asare versus the Attorney General and 3 others, unreported 2008, suit number H1/65/707, that is Court of Appeal. In that case, the Court of Appeal ruled that the permission granted by Mr. Speaker for a member to be absent from the proceedings of the House cannot exceed 15 days at any point in time, and that it is unacceptable for Parliament to grant a leave of absence to a member for a period exceeding the 15-day threshold as envisaged under Article 97(1)(c) and the Standing Orders of Parliament. Honourable members, it is important to recall that in the book, Reap the Wild Wind, an account of Kwame Nkrumah's Ghana from 1950 to 1966 by Geoffrey Bing, the learned Attorney General under the First Republic, notes that the Speaker could not, in the legal circumstances, grant permission to a member to absent himself or herself for more than 20 consecutive sitting days. This position was taken after the experience of the National Assembly, particularly the automaticity of the grant of the permission of the Speaker to one Honourable R.B. Ochre, who absented himself from the sittings of the National Assembly for more than 2 continuous years while seeking refuge in Côte d'Ivoire and receiving his salary. The Court of Appeal also noted the lack of clarity as to the procedure that should be undertaken by Parliament in giving effect to Article 97(1)(c), which procedure shall culminate into the declaration of a seat as vacant for reason of absence of a member of Parliament for a period exceeding 15 sitting days within a meeting, without the permission of the Speaker and an offer of a reasonable explanation to the Committee of Privileges. I'll also note the judgment of the Court of Appeal, which suggests that once a member is absent from Parliament without explanation for more than 15 sitting days, that member's seat automatically becomes vacant by operation of law. That is from the Court of Appeal. The court, in that ruling, noted the requirement in the Constitution for the member who has been absent to be given the opportunity to provide an explanation for the absence. Honourable members, in the light of the combined reading of the provisions of the Standing Orders and the Constitution, coupled with the decision of the Court of Appeal on the question on when a seat of a member of Parliament is to be declared vacant by reason of absenteeism, the following process is proposed to the House for adoption and compliance. 1. The member must have been absent from a meeting for more than 15 sittings in that meeting without the permission of the Speaker in writing, based on the evidence from the votes and proceedings of Parliament. 2. The fact of the absence of the member without permission of the Speaker may be raised on the floor of Parliament by a member or through the vigilance of civil society through petitions. We are aware now we have civil society organizations monitoring the performance of Parliament throughout Africa. There's a network now doing so, and it includes monitoring our attendance and our conduct. The Speaker will then be properly seized with the matter to be able to refer same to the Committee of Privileges for consideration and report to the House. Members must not forget that the trump card of the Speaker is impartiality. And one of the measures you use is that the Speaker should not participate in debate, and the Speaker should never descend into the arena of conflict. And so it's not advisable for the Speaker so much to raise up the matter on the floor of the House. It's either a member who raised the matter, or if the Speaker's attention is drawn in writing by the people who represent, the Speaker definitely will not vacate his duty. He will be properly seized with the matter, and the Speaker will proceed to take action. The evidence provided me by the table office indicates that 3 honorable members have so far absented themselves in this meeting for more than 15 sitting days without permission, as recorded in the votes and proceedings. As is my understanding of the provisions of Article 97(1)(c) and Order 16(1) of the Standing Orders of Parliament, and the decision of the Court of Appeal in the case of Professor Stephen Kweku Asare and the Attorney General and 3 others, I hereby refer the said honorable members to the Committee of Privileges for consideration and report to the House. Minority Chief Whip, read the standing orders again.
Mr. Speaker, I have read what I want to read, and I've stopped where I want to stop.
Honorable member,
you listen to me, and when you hear me,
will you resume your seat?
You have to hear me first.
Will you resume your seat?
Mr. Speaker, you have to hear me first.
Will you resume your seat?
Mr. Speaker, we heard you in silence. If we allow this to stand, it will become precedent, and tomorrow it may hurt each and every one of us. And it is on that basis that I stand to say, Mr. Speaker, I want to come properly under Order 93(5) to say this is your decision to refer our colleagues to the privileges will be challenged with a substantive motion.
Mr. Speaker, the cost of living and cost of doing business is prohibitively high in Ghana. Businesses cannot cope. I see an effort by the president to praise himself when he says that he has contracted 10,000 kilometers of road. He simply could have said that he has put a flyover from Accra to Beijing. That's 10,000 kilometers, and probably would have believed him for being accurate. 10,000 kilometers of road. And Mr. Speaker, the Minister for Roads and the Minister for Finance must take the necessary appropriate decisions to protect Ghanaian private sector contractors. Today, a bag of cement which sold for 28 cedis in 2016 is selling at 58 Ghana cedis, a difference of 30 Ghana cedis. Petrol, which sold at 14 Ghana cedis in 2016, today is selling at 47 Ghana cedis. Diesel, which sold at 14.50 Ghana cedis, today is selling at 51 Ghana cedis. A bag of rice, which sold for 150 Ghana cedis, today is selling at 300 Ghana cedis. Bag of sugar, 360 Ghana cedis from 180 Ghana cedis in 2016. Not to talk about cooking oil. And Mr. Speaker, my point.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. And with me on the show this morning, I have Eric Amwakuchum, who's a member of the communications team of the NPP. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, Randy.
Okay. Also with me on the show is Edem Magbana, who's the Deputy National Youth Organizer of the NDC. Good morning, Edem.
Good morning, Doc.
Right. Let me say a big happy birthday to a man who doesn't have a photograph. He's the editor of the Daily Post newspaper, Mike Dokosi. Today is your birthday, but he doesn't have a photograph. So I'll be unable to show you how Mike Dokusi looks like. Happy birthday to you, Mike. And Kwame Adofori, yesterday was your birthday. I missed it. So happy birthday to you, Kwame Adofori, from all of us, especially your sister, Mrs. Akusia Menu, the Deputy CEO of NYA. So Kwame Adofori, belated happy birthday to you. Now, we're just showing what transpired in Parliament yesterday. There have been a lot of talk about, MPs, and the focus was on Adwoasafo, about absenting herself from Parliament for 15 consecutive sittings without permission from the Speaker. Now, listening to the Speaker, he makes the point that the table office has made him aware that there are 3 MPs who are caught in this particular net. And the 3 MPs are Sarah Adwoasafo, MP Dom Kwabenya, Kennedy Ohene Ejepon, MP for Asin Central, and Henry Quartey, MP for Ayawaso Central. Now, how to deal with this particular issue is what also has created controversy as far as Parliament is concerned, and even outside Parliament. The Speaker has decided to refer the matter to the Privileges Committee to deal with it. There are members who believe that once the Privileges Committee takes a decision, it should be final. There are others who believe that, look, the decision or the recommendation from the Privileges Committee must come to the plenary. For the plenary, that's the entirety of Parliament, to take a decision on the matter. There are those who also hold a view that there is, in fact, a case, and that has to do with the Nkoranza North MP, the one who was involved in the Erica Martin, where the courts actually established that once he had absented himself from Parliament for 15 consecutive sittings, he automatically vacates his seat. And there are those who believe that the law is the law, and that that precedent set by the court must be made operational, which then presupposes that by the table office establishing that these 3 MPs absented themselves from Parliament for 15 consecutive days, they have vacated their seats, and therefore we should be preparing for by-elections in these 3 constituencies. Eric, I don't know what your thoughts are on this one.
It's a very anyway. To start with, good morning to you. Good morning to viewers of Metro TV this morning, and good morning to my kid brother. How are you? I've been seeing him for a while.
Yes, Eric.
Yes, but to be honest with you, I think that it's a very complicated matter, especially when it looks like there's a certain divergence in even the processes that needs to be activated for what the Speaker had actually done. And then we also have a precedent, which is something that had already been determined by a court of competent jurisdiction. And so, for me, I think that at this point, we don't even know how to even activate the process. But it's very clear that the Constitution, what the Constitution says in terms of absenting yourself from Parliament without recourse to the Speaker. But then again, when it goes to the Privileges Committee, I think that it gives an opportunity to these honourable members to also come and give our reasons why maybe this actually happened. And I think that that's the reason why the Speaker deemed it fit to make sure that the Privileges Committee gets an opportunity to listen to these honourable members. And I think that in the spirit of natural justice, it's imperative that they are heard, and if a decision is taken, then you take it from there. But for the sake of the democracy that we are trying to build, I feel that it still doesn't stop anybody from trying to also activate, like maybe a legal process in terms of getting a determination as to what transpired in the past, so that we can come to some kind of conclusion on the matter. In terms of the merits as to why or even the veracity of the allegations. As we sit here, we can't be able to ascertain that. So I think that it's a very easy commentary for me. Let's wait and see what transpires. What's interesting, honestly, is the certain dichotomy in terms of views between the minority and the majority as to the processes. As far as I'm concerned, again, when it comes to matters of Parliament, they seem to have this notion that Parliament is a master of its own rules, and I'm sure that they can find a common ground to deal with the matter. I don't think it's anybody's interest, for example, to have a member of Parliament who has been duly elected by their people to represent them to be basically taken off from Parliament without justifiable reasons. So let's investigate that. Let the processes be activated. But like I said earlier, it doesn't stop the other people who have an interest in the matter to also seek some kind of clarity from the courts.
Now, Adam, I don't know what you think.
Yes,
there are those who have been arguing that the decision by the courts was even dangerous, you know.
Well, Doc,
Yes.
let me begin by wishing Mr. Mike Dokusi of the Daily Post a happy birthday. Yes, you indicated that he does not have a photograph, but
Yes.
I'm privileged to be one of the few people who knows Uncle Mike personally. He's been like a godfather, a guide, and I speak to him very often, and I'm very privileged to know him. So on a day like this, I'm excited that I'm on your platform and I have the opportunity to wish him a happy birthday. He's a fantastic man, an amazing gentleman by all standards. My only request is that on his birthday, the picture of President Akufo-Addo that he uses, he should change it. There are newer pictures, there are newer versions of that picture, and I think that he's too obsessed with that particular picture.
Interestingly, he's an in-law of the president.
Yes, the president is his in-law and all that. But that's just by the way. Doc, I think that I find happenings in Parliament, in this particular Parliament, very, very interesting. And the move by the Speaker to have the 3 MPs sanctioned, even more interesting. Reason being, the issue of absenteeism of MPs in Ghana's Parliament has been with us for such a long time. In fact, in the 6th Parliament, there was a report by Odikro, an NGO that is interested in parliamentary affairs, that 58% of MPs absent themselves from Parliament without permission. That was in the 6th Parliament. In the 7th Parliament, absenteeism was the norm for many MPs. What makes the topic more relevant today is only because we have a hung Parliament where when you are absent, your absence is easily noticed and can go a long way to affect your side of the House. And that is the only reason why it is only these 3 MPs that we are talking about. But there are some MPs who, in the previous Parliament, almost all the time they were absent. They will only come when there is a State of the Nation address, or there are other functions that requires live cameras from across the nation. So the issue of absenteeism is not peculiar to this particular Parliament. The challenge, however, is the interpretation being given to the constitutional provision that when a member of Parliament absent him or herself for 15 times without permission, that member shall be made to vacate his or her seat. Now the challenge is, shall be made to vacate. Is it that just by the table office's recommendation, or you must be referred to the Privileges Committee of Parliament, or when the Speaker, or you must be brought to the plenary? These are the issues. And we are always told that Parliament is a master of its own rules. I believe that this parliament has been in existence for such a long time, and they should be able, leadership should be able to have some consensus, some understanding on how to move forward with applying the sanctions. If you ask me, I think that it is proper for the sanctions to be applied, because as a member of parliament, you know that you are a lawmaker and laws are made to be obeyed. And when you enter parliament, they are taken through orientation, they know the rules, and you know that if for any reason you are to absent yourself from the business of the house, you ought to write to the speaker to seek permission before you can proceed to absent yourself. It happens in our schools, it happens in our workplaces. I am not sure that, Doc, you can just decide to wake up one morning and say, as for today, I'm not going to be on Good Morning Ghana to host it, without you informing your production team and maybe the staff of Metro TV. So if Parliament, you are elected, people queue up to vote for you, people campaigned to represent their interests, to be their voice, and you are given the opportunity to be in Parliament. If for any reason, we are all human beings, issues come up, sometimes health reasons, sometimes some emergencies come up that you cannot forfeit. But it's as simple as sending a letter, asking for permission not to be present in the house. And if members of parliament can absent themselves without asking permission, it also tells the level of seriousness that they attach to the business of the house. So I believe that sanctions should be applied. The article, the constitutional provision must be applied to the latter. However, leadership of the house must sit and have a consensus, because it was a bit weird to me yesterday watching leadership, speaker having a kind of a banter with the minority chief whip over this matter.
The city newsroom is reporting that the Honorable Muntaka Mubarak has filed a motion calling for the referral of the 3 MPs to the Privileges Committee sittings to be reversed. And City News says they've cited the motion, and that the relevant part says to revoke, cancel, or rescind the referral made by the Right Honourable Speaker on the 5th day of April 2022 to the Committee on Privileges to consider the issue of absence without permission from the House and Article 97(1)(c) of the Constitution and Standing Orders 15 and 16 of Honourable Sarah Asafo and Rukwoti and Kennedy Ohini.
Okay, I think that's a good move, because he mentioned that yesterday in his speech, that he was going to file a substantive motion to have the Speaker's decision reversed. And so if he has taken that action, I just hope that they will be able to resolve the issue. But if you ask me, I believe that sanctions must be applied. And Honorable Muntaka made an interesting point. He feels that all of this is targeted at the Honorable Member of Parliament for Dome Kwabenya, Honorable Sarah Asafo. I think that the law must be applied without discrimination, because I recall when members of the majority group initially raised the issue of Asafo's absenteeism and asked that she should be made to vacate her post. I recall other members of the House, including the Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa, who stated that there were other MPs on the majority side who also equally defaulted with regards to the law on absenteeism. And so it should not be targeted at one person. If the law is that if you absent yourself for 15 days without, or 15 sittings without permission, you must be made to vacate your post, irrespective of what position you hold in the House. If the record shows that you absent yourself without that permission, the law must be applied to everyone equally. I'm for the sanctions, and I hope that the leadership of the House will build a consensus on how exactly to apply the sanctions. But members of Parliament must attach a bit more seriousness to issues of attendance. But for this 137, I'm sure this issue will not have been on the table for discussion. When the NPP had 169 members in the House, Randy, we can go back and check the number of times many of them, especially the ministers, attended parliamentary sittings. And so we are only raising it now because when you are absent, it's obvious. So everybody will feel that, yeah, we need the numbers now to take decisions in the House. But we need to attach more seriousness to the business of the House.
All right, okay.
Well,
So
I just
yes,
want to make a point.
yes.
I mean, I think that it will be a bit unfair to, in as much as these three honorable members have been cited, it will be unfair to make the claim that only MPs might have absented themselves from Parliament or when it comes to parliamentary business. You know, one of the things. No, but you made mention of the ministers who in the last Parliament.
I even mentioned the 6th Parliament, which was under NDC.
Exactly. Yeah. But the point really is that even the provision about if you absent yourself 15 times. For me, I even have a problem with that. Is that you can actually absent yourself 14 times, turn up,
yes,
and then go for another 14 times without. You understand? Yes. So some proper scrutiny should be. I mean, in as much as you would have other even parliamentary business outside of Parliament and all of those things. I think that some more clarity should come to the fore in terms of what the expectations are, and maybe personal responsibility as well, so
but
that
Eric,
it won't be.
This is in black and white.
Yes.
Yes.
This is in black and white. You know that it says that if you absent yourself 15 consecutive sittings without permission from the Speaker, you shall. That's even the operative.
Yes.
You shall vacate your seat. You are fully aware. What is so difficult about writing to seek permission?
Yeah, that's my point. I'm saying that even when it comes to the point where you can write, I mean, that's why it would be interesting to actually get an opportunity to highlight these things, to hear from the honorable members what the reasons are. It might be tangible enough, it might be considered as a good enough excuse or not. But the whole idea of Parliament, especially when at this point you have the almost a tie, it's actually a hung Parliament in certain respects, then it becomes very important to be present, and I mean, if you're not there for one reason or the other, make it known so that it doesn't actually affect parliamentary business. But I mean, it's one of those things that I'm sure that maybe it's even a subculture in terms of how we apply some of these things as a country.
Now, I guess the dream of many, not just in Ghana, but all over the world, is to, at least by the time they retire from active work, to be able to have a place of their own, a shelter of their own, to live in. Now, in many jurisdictions, they found a way of enabling this to happen through mortgages and many other things. We're still in 6s and 7s in Ghana, but there's a story on page 3 of the Business and Financial Times. It says, home ownership dream fades. And this is a story filed by Thomas Moore Adingo. And it says, for a Ghanaian, and I'll read the full story. It says, for a Ghanaian, the final piece of a successful career is to have a place to call home. But that dream is quickly fading for many due to rising cost of building materials, a higher cost of living, and falling value of the cedi. Prices of all building materials, including cement, iron rods, wood, nails, and paint, among others, have been on the up since 2020, increasing by an average of over 50% per annum, and thereby dashing home ownership dreams of the majority of Ghanaians. A bag of cement that sold at 38 cedis to 39 cedis in 2020 now sells at 60 to 62 cedis, a 59% rise, depending on brand and location. Meanwhile, a ton of iron rods, which began the year at 4,100 cedis, now sells at 6,200 cedis, representing a 51% increase, throwing a spanner into government's efforts to narrow the current housing deficit of over 1.8 million units. Quote, it is affecting everyone, those who are building or buying, says Executive Secretary of the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, Greda, Samuel Amegaibo. Quote, if you had started building in the last quarter of 2021 and had, say, 6 months to complete a project, you will be greatly affected because prices have completely gone overboard. To paint a picture of how bleak things are for the industry, Mr. Amegaibo said most projects that began last year are either on hold or being renegotiated. Mortgages, meanwhile, have not been spared, since rates are usually pegged against the dollar, but payable in cedis. Although this cushions sellers against market fluctuations, it exposes buyers to huge risk. For instance, the local currency has lost over 18% of its value against the United States dollar beginning January this year. The situation is worsened by the fact that apart from having to pay more to own a house than usual, Ghanaians also have to pay more for foodstuffs, utilities, and other basic needs from the same income due to rising cost of living. Quote, at the prevailing market conditions, it is nearly impossible for any contractor who has started a project before the beginning of this year to survive the price onslaught. If you want to maintain the same quality, says Ismaila Issa, a building and construction consultant and project manager. As of last year, Mr. Issa said he paid 100 Ghana cedis and 80 cedis per day as labor cost for a mason and a laborer, but now pays 150 cedis and 100 cedis, a 50% increase in cost. Says, imagine a project I started last December, how much extra cost burden I've had to take on, adding that prices of all materials, including wood, nails, and paint, have shot up significantly. And Mr. Megaibo says that what is happening in the real estate or building and construction sector does not come as a surprise. So when prices started shooting up in 2020, blame was placed on the COVID-19 pandemic. Quote, the reality is that we are heavily dependent on imports for our building materials. He said, noting that with more than 70% of all building materials coming from imports, the industry is highly vulnerable to external shocks. Currently, the local steel production accounts for only 40% of demand, with the remaining 60% coming from imports. Sorry, the country is also heavily reliant on imports for other building materials such as cement, particularly silica, the main ingredient for cement. For example, much of the steel comes from Eastern Europe, particularly Russia and Ukraine. But given the ongoing conflict between the two countries, prices have shot up astronomically. So it goes on and on. It says that to correct the current situation, focus must be on strengthening local production capacity, and most importantly, government as the biggest spender must show an example for others to follow by prioritizing domestic products. COVID has taught us that if we depend on importation, we will suffer a lot. So I believe government must lead the way in terms of using local building materials and expertise. Gentlemen, I'll take a break. When I return, I'll take your views on this. Home ownership dream fades. We're back shortly.
Trasacco Estates, home to Accra's most beautiful and luxurious homes, presents its newest addition, Trasacco Springs, a premium master planned community of service plots surrounded by an exhaustive list of amenities. The gated community of Tema to Accra Motorway presents you the finest opportunity to own a land that suits your preferred size, budget, and payment terms. Trasacco Springs is open to you for development. Our on-site sales executives are ready. Call on 055 659 2658.
To help meet your business and private printing needs successfully, we have just the right products and services. At Appointed Time Printing Limited, we specialize in digital printing, offset printing, packaging, and security printing. Our innovative designs and complete professional touch on our print products such as posters, flyers, brochures, magazines, whole cards, and any other print solution of your choice ensure that our customers are always happily connected to their audience. With our security printing section, our clients are assured of a highly secured and confidential work process from start to finish. At Appointed Time, our prices are very, very competitive. Locate us at the old GNTC building near Swansea Shopping Arcade, Accra. Contact us on 0501 454165, 0501 454167. Appointed Time Printing Limited. Our printing is the solution.
Surfline.
a new ride. Then you go pick your side chick. While you taking her for a ride. This lifestyle, dear, trash it. If you get dustbin for your place, do the shocky as you trash your waist. Muni baller, when you baller. You know get some, then hide your face.
Zoom Lion is giving you 1 million bins for free to get rid of your trash. Download the Zoom Lion app now for your free bin or make trash collection payment. Or simply dial *857#. Zoom Lion, your waste management expert.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. I still with me on the show, Averika Mwakuchum and Edem Agbana. Edem, let me start off with you. Home ownership dream fades. It's been fading for quite a while, but it looks like we're going from west to west. And we probably will need to find another beyond west if something doesn't happen.
Doc, something drastic must happen to solve the puzzle that many people, many young people have concerning this home ownership. You speak to people even working in formal employment. You take how much they are earning and the cost of either buying or building a simple place, a 2-bedroom house, or even a 1-bedroom, a chamber and hall, it's very expensive. And that is because the cost of building or the cost of building materials is simply a reflection of the economic conditions of the country and how well the economy is doing, especially knowing that over 70% of the materials, these building materials, are imported. What is even more worrying is that in the face of youth unemployment, when you go and you interact with all the people working in the real estate, they will tell you that even labor today is imported. Many of the people fixing the tiles and carpenters and all that are either coming from Togo, Benin, and all these places. Now, in 2018, a bag of cement was 28 Ghana cedis. Today we are buying it between 60 to 62 Ghana cedis, depending on the brand and where you are getting it from. Iron sheets, the 5-star, was 180 in 2016. Today it is 680 Ghana cedis. Iron sheets. Floor tiles, which was 55 Ghana cedis, is now 120 Ghana cedis. Why? Because of the CD depreciation and the cost of living, because we know that apart from the depreciation of the CD, even when fuel prices go up, it has an impact on every sector of the economy. And so, looking at how the fuel prices have been on an astronomical increase over the period, it is only reasonable that for business owners, they have to transport these materials even when they import it in, and they have to increase salaries, and delivery cost goes up and all of that. So they end up increasing the cost of all of these materials. Where we are today, the housing issue is a major national security issue, and we must begin to find ways of dealing with it. Now, this is what I propose. I think that if you listen to the players in the industry, they are all calling for Ghana to increase local capacity, in terms of the production. It is very easy to do. There are people who are willing, entrepreneurs who are ready to invest in that area. There are people who are already doing something in that area. What level of support is the government of the day giving to these businesses for them to thrive? What level of support? And these are the questions that we must ask. So when you talk about industrialization, and every day you listen to the finance minister, you listen to the president, and they are talking about Ghana beyond aid and industrialization, these are some of the key sectors that they must focus on. Look at cement. We have the capacity to produce cement and support local entrepreneurs, local companies to do so. Iron rod, all these building materials, doors. It is very shameful that Ghana, with all the wood and whatever we have, even doors, we have to be importing doors from Turkey. And so when there is a little shift in the cedi to dollar relationship, which is always against us, the shift is always against us because the cedi is always depreciating against the dollar. As we speak today, our currency is the worst when it comes to depreciation on the continent. I'm even told globally, aside Russia, we are the worst performing currency because we are depreciating at 20%. And so with all of these things happening, it speaks to the fact that the managers of the economy are not doing enough to cushion Ghanaians. As a young man, my biggest fear is to be able to, is how I can live life, be able to afford a simple 2 or 3 bedroom house for my family and I. And there are many people who are working, they have gone for mortgages to go and build, and the mortgage continues, the interest continues to go up, and yet the amount that you have even gone for, you cannot afford to use that to build because the cost of building has increased so much. Just yesterday, I was speaking to a real estate agent. He tells me that today, you need about 300,000 Ghana cedis on the average to put up a very simple 2 bedroom house. 300,000 Ghana cedis on the average. Even that depends on the place.
So what we
land
speak,
is not even.
When we speak about affordable housing in Ghana, what do we mean?
Exactly. Even when I have always been against governments putting up those.
What do we mean?
Yes, what we mean.
Yes, affordable housing. What do we mean?
For me, affordable housing should mean that the average Ghanaian. So when you take our minimum wage, for example, you look at the average salary earner, they should be able to afford a simple housing unit. As we speak, our housing deficit is projected to hit 5.7 million, which is worrying. If you have a country of about 31 million people, and the housing deficit is projected to hit 5.7 million, and that's according to Mr. Megayibo. I listened to him some time ago, that they are projecting that our housing deficit will hit 5.7 million. It is very worrying. It's a big national security issue. It's a national security threat that we're not talking about. So when they say affordable housing, and governments put up buildings that the average Ghanaian, the average young person who just started working and receiving salaries between 2,000 to 3,000 Ghana cedis cannot afford to even rent a simple building for himself and his family. It tells you that this whole affordable housing scheme is nothing but a certain sham, because who can afford the affordable housing? Look, some of the government built affordable housing units that we have, when you ask about the rent or how much it is going for, they are selling some for over 200,000 Ghana cedis. How long can the average Ghanaian worker save to be able to afford such a house? How many people in the security agencies, apart from those in the top hierarchy, how many police officers, how many military men can work in this country for 10 years and be able to save up to 300,000 Ghana cedis to afford these housing units? And so we have to take a critical look at our housing deficit issues and see how we can empower local entrepreneurs, the local industries, so that at least the issue of depreciation affecting the cost of building materials will be catered for. It is really worrying, and I am very worried as a young man because, look, people leave the university, people graduate, they are doing their national service, they are looking for simple places to rent, and the amount that they have to cough out. And to conclude, all these agencies are beginning to price the items in dollars. You hardly will see any property today that they will give you the cost in cedis. You know why? They have lost confidence in the Ghanaian currency. Because if today I tell you that this my project or this house I am selling to you goes for 100,000 Ghana cedis, the value is 100,000. By the time you go gather your 100,000 and you are back, it would have lost so much value because the cedi would have depreciated by 20%, 25%, and so I will price it in dollars because that's what the dollar, it is always appreciating against the cedi. So every property in this country today, they are quoting the price in dollars, even though there was a government directive against that.
No, so the way out is that it's payable in cedis. To safeguard their investment,
yes,
they quote in dollars, but they say payable in cedis. So, for example, the mortgages, most of them are dollar indexed, but payable in cedis.
Yes.
So, for example, if you were paying, let's say, $1,000 on your mortgage, somewhere in December you'll be paying 6,000.
Exactly.
Maybe in 2017 you'll be paying 4,200.
Yes.
Sometime in December it would have risen to 6,000. Today it will be somewhere 7,500. Yes.
7,500.
Thereabouts.
Yes.
You know, so at least the investor, the real estate developer, is cushioned because it's indexed in dollars. But you, the one who pays, although you are paying cedis, you always suffer.
Yes, you are the one suffering. And so
that's over the period, your income will not have moved from the 4.2 to the 7.5, which is close to 100%. Your income would not have appreciated by that value.
No, because if you look at the public sector,
and this thing affects rent too. So it's not just for those who are building.
Yes, and it affects rent. And if you look at the public sector workers, for example, their salaries were increased by only 4%
for last year.
This
year 7%.
And 7 when you even do cumulative. Look at the depreciation. The rate is at 20%. So even if you were earning a 10,000 Ghana cedis, and that is very rare for public sector workers to earn, and your salary increased by 7%, it means you are earning today 10,700. Is that not the case? But between last year, December, and now, the cedi had depreciated by about 20%. And so, if that person earning 10,000 Ghana cedis is paying mortgage of $1,000, like the calculation you just made, the person may have been paying 6,000 last year, and today you are paying 7,500, a difference of 1,500. Meanwhile, the actual nominal value of your 7% on your 10,000 was just that 700 Ghana cedis. So you are making a loss of 800 Ghana cedis, if my calculation is right. So I believe that stakeholders in the sector must move beyond making fine speeches, because I listen to the housing minister always claiming that government is working hard to address the housing deficit. 5 years on, not a single policy statement, clear direction to show that this is what we are doing to address the housing deficit. So they must come out and tell us. Stakeholders must engage government, and let's see how we can address this problem, because it's becoming a major national security issue, and it worries me as a young person.
Eric, if you have 70% of the materials for building being imported, and you have 1, supply chain disruptions, 2, taxes and levies, the number on imports, and I've shown the one on clinker several times. I'll probably show it again, you know. And then you also have these problems with your currency. I mean, you would always take a beating every day. So that's what you see. You see the price of the clinker itself and the number of taxes and levies and duties that are on this. So by the time that it comes out and becomes the cement, you can only sell it at 60 or 62 cedis a bag.
Is it, Randy? I mean, I
looks
think
like we are in for a beating until something drastically changes.
Yes, I mean, I some of these challenges, I mean, I would not want to bore you with further lamentations in terms of what the issues are. Some of the challenges for me, I think that we've discussed this here before, also has a certain cultural underpinning.
Okay.
You know, I'm sure my brother, my senior brother Eric Nyako is watching this morning. You know, so there's this Pozzolana conversation that we've been having for a very long time.
Yes.
I've actually been there. I mean, I've seen the facility. I mean, some investment was actually made into that particular project in the past. And this Pozzolana is basically natural cement. And you know what they add to it? The husks of the palm husk.
Yes.
You know, after it's been broken and everything, they mix it.
Is it a palm fruit or the palm tree itself?
No, the husks.
Okay.
You know, the one that is used to generate oil.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
You know, it has a certain hard substance around it that
Yes.
protects it. So when they're done, it goes into a machine mixed with the natural cement that is actually sand from the ground.
Pozzolana.
The Pozzolana. It's mixed, and it has, sometimes even it has more efficacy in terms of the properties than artificial cement.
But we have deposits enough.
We have
to
huge
meet.
deposits. It's just off the plant is just off after the Winneba roundabout.
I know that.
On the right hand side. I've actually visited there myself. I tried to even get some investors to go there and invest in the project. And even the use of it for tile, cement, and all of those things. All that it requires. And some work has been done. I've forgotten the name of the professor. He's actually at Tech. A lot of work have been done in that regard to, I mean, even test. And some buildings have been built. I mean, even if you go there, the factory itself was actually built from the Pozzolana cement. And we need to start looking within ourselves in terms of locally to start. I mean, this conversation about local raw materials and everything. It becomes almost like a broken record. Then I'm just giving you two examples. Then if you go to my village, Abompe, you have a naturally occurring paint, right? Actually paint, actually in different colors. That's actually dyed from and anybody who is aware of that would actually attest to that fact. I mean, some people have known about that for a very long time. I think even if you speak to Nana Fridia or Foriata, he will tell you about it. And a few other things that, again, also is present in commercial quantities. And a host of other things. I mean, in reality, sometimes we make these things a bit too complicated. I have even a position on road construction. That we have stone, sand, naturally occurring cement that we have in this country, and a host of other resources. Yet we have this obsession with paying $1 million for a construction of a road. I mean, who actually, indicates, or is it set in stone that we have to have a certain engineering orientation? You know, so I think that is all about a mindset, and even. Adam spoke about wood, right? And you drive around the country and you go towards the middle belt and all that, and you see this huge lumber that's on tracks that's been taken to the Tema port and Takoradi port to be exported outside of this country. You know, so I mean, in as much as you look at all the other things that we are talking about in terms of the over-reliance on imports within that particular sector. There are things that we can do locally. For example, you know, when they were building you're trying to modernize the townships in Joburg, and some parts of South Africa. They came out with a very simple technology, which is the interlocking blocks.
Yeah.
Right? Very simple technology, which is basically using very minimal cement and other materials.
I just told that, major boost for timber export. Cabinet approves 156 timber concessions and permits.
Okay, right. And so it's about, again, for me, this whole idea of exporting it in that raw state really hasn't inured to our benefit over the period. Let's now start thinking about activating an entire value chain, and give support. I mean, you see, apart from all of these conversations, I see indigenous Ghanaian companies at a very artisanal level doing fantastic. I have a friend who basically makes an artisan do sofas for them, for rental and all that. When you see the sofa, you'll be amazed. Right? And this guy is able to just do one piece at a time. Sometimes it takes him 3 weeks to finish. So all that it's required probably is some kind of state-of-the-art machinery to support him, some investment in his business and all of those things. I quite remember when I was even at the export promotion where we had an initiative to bring in design consultants. So sometimes you have the people who have a certain basic appreciation of the whole construction of certain things, but sometimes you need a design consultant, somebody to take them through the process, give them some kind of commercial acumen, and marketing support and all of those things. So in as much as we have all these difficulties, I think that it's about time we stop talking about the challenges. As for the challenges, what happened? And as for being exposed to global exigencies, you can blame government for as long as you want. But the reality is that, do we have local solutions? Can we mitigate the challenges? We can. What's happening to our young guys and girls that we take to the universities to read engineering and all of those things? What's the construction technology landscape like in this country? Why are we not coming out with new things and how to actually build our homes cheaper? I mean, someone was talking about bamboo. So some of the things that we even use these iron rods for, right? I think it's the same Amega Ibo that you were talking about, another expert, about the how strong bamboo is and how it's actually used in construction in other parts of the world, and it withstands. These are standing for 50, 100 years and more. And so we can talk about this thing over and over again, but the reality on the ground is that thinking outside of the box, it's actually also important. We've had economies, countries, especially after the Second World War, that essentially stimulated their economies by just construction. Is it the UK, France, Germany? The German economy essentially had to be revitalized because after the Second World War, the entire country was bombed, and construction was basically used as a catalyst to revitalize the economy. So as far as I'm concerned, we have the systems and the things in place to revamp our construction industry. Think through, what is really affordable. And I will not sit here and say that even when the things that we term affordable are within the reach of the average Ghanaian, but we can have a lot more conversations, we can think through the processes, right, and probably bring on board expertise from different fields and the various stakeholders, even when it comes to funding. I think that I heard the former senior minister, Honorable Safuma, even make a very solid point when it comes to what do we use our pension funds for, as a basis for even using it to leverage capital for people who work within the formal sector, so that they'll be able to use that as some kind of collateral for mortgages and all that. We can pursue that. Because in the final analysis, these are monies that are actually belonging to all these people who are working. How do we find ways of investing it so that it will be of benefit to them whilst they are working, and we'll be able to also make sure that they have somewhere to go when they retire and all that. We can pursue that particular conversation when it comes to our pension funds, with SNAIT and all of those things. Because if a person is accruing a certain amount of money over his entire working period, why can't that be leveraged as collateral for a mortgage? I think that I've heard it in certain circles. We can pursue that, and thinking outside the box in terms of the funding and the capital investment that comes to the space, for me, is the way to go. After the lamentations, of course, when you're sitting with them, they can paint a certain picture. But the reality on the ground is that, yes, so what is the way forward? And the way forward is that we can look within ourselves and start changing things in a certain organic manner, right? And then eschew the over-reliance on basically not adding value to our role. I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? And so the same things that we are doing with the rosewood and all that, I think there's about time that we also become a bit more nationalistic about our approach. I mean, if you're sending these timber to other foreign countries for them to process that into finished products and bring it back to us, then maybe it's about time that we stop that, and think through the processes very well, invest in this particular sector, and it would revitalize the economy because there are strong linkages between a construction industry vis-a-vis employment, transportation, planning purposes, all of these things, in terms of even what we are doing with our planning in terms of the city as we speak, right? The reality on the ground is that Accra is choked, right? And by virtue of even having other linkages with transportation and all that. I mean, yesterday I drove through Koforidua into Accra. Right? Literally, when you're from Mamfi area into Accra, it's like 25 minutes here, right? So, again, a conversation about an enhanced public transportation system and all that. So people, in terms of even the congestion, right? I mean, I can tell you that if someone is living in, say, Kaswa and beyond, by the time somebody moves from Ikropon, they'll be in Accra before they get here, right? So it's all about finding proper linkages between the various stakeholders, right? In terms of ensuring that people have access to these houses, but there's also other linkages that would also stimulate the economy.
I think that I agree with you that we should begin looking within ourselves to find that solution. I think we must begin with asking ourselves what we can do to support entrepreneurs or Ghanaians who are ready and willing. The likes of Ibrahim Mahama have shown that it is possible to do it here. But the big question is, what are the bottlenecks that they face? What tax incentives?
Yeah, but look at there's a guy called Pogas. I mean, he does fantastic. I mean, just
look at the duties, taxes, and levies on even because you refer to cement. I mean,
yes.
Just look at it, because if what we put there on the screen, if you look at the import duty itself, just check it. The import duty itself is 749,000. But look at all those levies and charges. The duty which is actually 749, let's say 750. The company ends up paying an extra 4 million aside the duty. An extra 4 million.
There's import VAT, Ghana Export Import, Exim Bank, IRS tax deposit, network charge, Ghana Shippers Council, SNFE, MOTI, and all of that.
Yes.
And so again, that's the conversation. So when we agree that it can be done locally, then we move to support these entrepreneurs and remove these taxes or all these levies and provide them with tax incentives for them to be able to do it. It should be possible. And you see, the reason why I have a friend of mine bought furniture, imported furniture from Turkey recently. So I asked him, why will you go all the way to Turkey to import furniture for your office space? And when he gave me the price and even the duties that he paid on it, apart from the fact that he talks about quality, it is even still cheaper than the ones being produced here. So the question is, what are we not doing right in terms of supporting the local industry so that they can produce at a much cheaper rate? And they cannot compete, because they can't compete with this cheap furniture coming from Dubai, Turkey, and all these places. So let's move and support people like Ibrahim Muhammad, support others who are ready. And again, in some countries, look, there is a concept of container houses coming up. When you go to China, a number of provinces are beginning to adopt that container housing unit.
Ghana people, but mostly at construction
for offices.
sites.
Yes, people are using it for offices and for construction sites. But I have taken a good look at some of them. I've watched videos. I feel it can be done, because I recently walked into a restaurant and the entire place was made of container. You will not know until you come out and maybe you go behind it to make a call or something. And so it is possible to also start adopting the container housing system. Maybe that will be cheaper, because when I look at the ones already built and put on the internet for sale, the prices ranges from $1,600 to $3,000 depending. And so when you convert, you realize that it's much cheaper to adopt to that container housing scheme and all that. So maybe our industry players, the real estate agents, should also begin looking at all of that and tell us if it is possible. Then in this whole business of affordable housing, we can provide these container houses, and then if it's going for 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 Ghana cedis, I'm sure the average Ghanaian can take some loan and be able to pay it in the next 5 or 10 years.
Adam, that's why I agree with you. And that's why I'm saying that it's also like a mindset thing. Because there's a certain perception about what a typical home should look like. And we've all come to accept that. But again, we should be open to new technology. Because, I mean, this whole concept of even this artificial ceilings that we had and everything. I mean, when we were growing up, almost everybody had a wooden ceiling. It was brilliant. The challenge that we have, even with the local industry, for me, is that some of them are very small, right? And then you have challenges with economies of scale in terms of even the acquisition of raw material and other supplies that you have. But if we can have some standardization, you know, in other parts of the world, that's what tends to happen. You have some standardization where you can go to a common user facility, for example, and get access to maybe your wood being sawn for you and access to some raw materials and all of those things from that point. Then you can go back to your small artisanal facility and be able to do your work. So it's about, again, with all due respect, thinking through the process.
You see, I seem to have a problem. If we say we want affordable housing, we know the ingredients that make up affordable housing. Yet, we treat, in terms of our tax regime, we treat the ingredients of affordable housing same as others.
Others, yes.
So, 2 days ago, we were in the UK to launch some tourism.
Destination Ghana.
Yes. Now, one of the major problems that people have in Ghana, and those who come to Ghana, is about the prices of hotel rooms.
Yes.
In Ghana. But you see, if you operate in that sector, you would understand that it is not about fabulous profits. But we have about 20 taxes and levies. Look, because I also operate in that area. So you have NHIL, you have VAT, you have Get Fund, you have COVID-19 levy, you have GTA levy, you have EPA levy, you have FDA levy, you have MMDA's levy, you have fire service levy, you have 1% tourism levy, you have data protection levy, you have BOP's levy, you have property rates, suitability report levy, gamble levy. Before you talk about SNIT and utilities and all those things. So if you have this tax regime on that sector, how can your room rates be competitive?
And don't forget, even the municipality in which you are located, they also come for their...
That's the MMDA's levy.
Their own.
That's the MMDA's levy. So you have all of this as far as that sector is concerned. So, and all of this must be put on the rate of the room. And of course, the other services. So if you want to promote something, you're also looking at being competitive because it is a competition. It's not as if you are alone in that space.
Exactly, yeah, in that sector.
So how do you make your sector a bit more competitive? You cannot treat that sector just like any other sector and expect that just by launching something and by having a ceremony, things will change.
Yeah, that's why I made the point that
because these days, especially around this era, disposable incomes are in short supply. So people really search and they look and see where they can, make savings and all that, and still go and have their vacations and all that.
So for the hospitality sector,
yes.
Again, it's one of those things that I feel that when it comes to low-hanging fruits, in terms of stimulating the economy, we can make some gains from there. Again, but you also have to look at it from, in as much as government always has a role to play, creating the avenue, giving some support, some tax rebates, like we're saying, and all of those things. There's also a certain orientation, right, that also has to come to the fore. I mean, just human capital alone in terms of even our attitude towards customer service and how we do all of these things is also very, very important. And then we have issues to do with competition, right? So how do you find a balance between making sure that you always have some kind of optimal occupancy and then also maybe able to run enough to be able to cover your overheads, right? And it's one of the conversations that maybe even people in the sector should have. I had an occasion to have a conversation with one of the managers a couple of days ago about occupancy, and I realized that over there, I don't want to mention the name, but they're very, very highly booked over the weekends, right? But you realize that during the week, they don't have that much occupancy, yet they have almost the same amount of overheads because electricity is on, staff are coming to work, and all of those things. So then it becomes even a function of marketing and thinking outside of the box on how to get some local, local tourism, or people coming in and use the facilities and all of those things, right? So these are conversations that I think that we can have.
So Pakwesi Asare, who's a financial journalist, he says the Bank of Ghana recently warned the situation was going to get worse with shortages in building materials due to ongoing Russia and Ukraine war. Honestly, I get tired anytime I hear of structure of the economy. Akufo-Addo talked about it in opposition, comes to power and is still lamenting. Who should change the structure? Everything for me comes down to leadership. That's Pakwesi's view on this particular.
I agree that everything it comes down to leadership, because even with the issue of taxes, like you said, we cannot treat the housing sector the same way we want to treat even hospitality or the other sectors. So we must look at each sector.
The point is that you can't eat your cake and have it. You cannot look at your projected revenues from, let's say, import duties on those items, and at the same time you're speaking about affordable housing.
And that's why that's why I made a point that government must recognize that the issue of housing and housing deficit is a national security issue. which demands there must be some
Just like
radical approach. Yeah, just like unemployment. It's a radical approach because even today, if you look at the number of people sleeping on the streets, a lot of people wait for others to close their stores and then they sleep in front. Go to Malamata Market and those areas and
it's been the case for a while, but it keeps getting worse.
It keeps getting worse. So it gets worse because people simply cannot afford the available houses.
Some of the kiosks, the slums, those kiosks, they are now paying like 70 cedis.
Yes. Even that is very expensive.
You know, there are some parts in Accra where people have kiosks. They are like shanty places.
And
people
they are charging them. They are charging them.
They rent the kiosk to sleep in there.
There are some not very far away from where I live, and now they are paying. They pay initially. They will just give you the space. Somebody's free land waiting to develop the place later will allow you to put your kiosk there, and then you sleep in. But today, when you put your kiosk, some places they are even charging as much as 100 cedis. That 100 cedis used to be the cost of renting a single room or a chamber and hall some time ago. So we need to recognize this as a national security issue, get the stakeholders together on the table, then we decide that all these import duties and levies in the sector, many of them must be scrapped so that we can have the cost of building materials reduced. That is the only way we can address it immediately while looking at a long-term solution of revolutionizing our housing sector with maybe the container buildings, the wooden structures, and what have you. But for now, government must immediately begin to reduce or remove some of the taxes in the sector.
This is a funny thing. The middle to upper class in our society, they own prefab houses in Europe and North America.
Yes.
But in Ghana, it's a no-no for them.
No, it's like I've forgotten what it's called. The whole house is made up of plasterboards.
Yes.
You know, and it's even artificial. It's done into several compartments and everything, and then that's it. You see, I'm all for still, of course, giving some relief to people within the sector. My challenge is that sometimes when these reliefs have even been given out, it doesn't actually percolate down to the end user or the customers in terms of relief. And that's also another conversation that we can have. And then again, this whole idea of activating the whole value chain. I'll even digress a bit. You see this thing that we are all wearing now, right? I mean, in the last 20 years, it's become almost the norm for everybody to do so, right? Because now it's giving employment to young people and everything, they're making it and all that. But then there's also like even another angle to it. The fabrics are not from here, right? So you can start even by activating an entire cotton value chain that feeds into that particular industry. Then you start yielding almost all the benefits that it comes with it. At least there's a certain aspect of the value chain that is spot on. People are wearing made in Ghana and all of those things. That's a plus. I was I think it's Indonesia, and one of the things that I saw was actually fascinating. About 95% of all the people that you meet are wearing their fabric, right? So just imagine a country of almost 200 million people or so. Every single person that you meet is wearing their local. It's like the tie and dye that.
I see those kiosks.
Yes. It's like the tie and dye that we wear here in Ghana, right? Into different fabrics in terms of even the tabletops and the curtains and all of those things which are locally made. And so just imagine just that industry alone in terms of how much it would accrue, to the entire economy going forward. So maybe this whole conversation about looking inward, making things here in Ghana, eating Ghana, sleeping Ghana, doing all the things, really is one of the things that would actually take us out of these challenges that we are facing now.
Okay, so Mr. Speaker has been talking tough. And sometimes straying into areas that he shouldn't. But on page 4 of the Ghanaian Times, Says we'll end political patronage in Parliament, Speaker. And Julius Yapetechi reports that the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin, has stated that he would crack the whip to end what he referred to as a culture of money and patronage used by the executive to weaken the institution of Parliament. According to the Speaker of Parliament, a situation where members were appointed onto boards of corporations compromised their criticality of government policies and programs. And swearing new executive members of the Parliamentary Press Corps in Accra on Monday, Mr. Bagbin said the practice was an affront to the provisions of the 92 constitutions. Quote, we intend to fight money and patronage in the next 2.5 years so that by the time we get to 2025, we have a different ballgame. In Parliament today, a lot of members have been bought by the executive through patronage. They are made chairs of boards, members of boards, CEOs of some institutions. They are still members of Parliament. When it happens this way, how can you come and criticize the same thing you're involved in? That is political patronage, and we are going to look critically into our constitutional provisions to make sure that we don't allow these things to continue. He said, though the Constitution frowned on the practice, it had persisted because of the nature of parliaments the country has seen over the last 3 decades. It's not part of the concept we have in the 92 Constitution. It's clear in the Constitution that for you to hold an office of profit, you need certification from the Speaker. But who are the speakers when usually the President breathes over their shoulders, when they have a mob of large number of majority members who they push behind to do what they want to do? I'm not under that pressure. Before anybody is given any appointment, the Speaker must give certification. It is not just for the President to dictate and co-opt everybody into government and leave the minority alone to be critical of government actions and inactions. That is not helpful to our democracy. And we have to crack the whip on this matter. And it's okay. So this is the position as Speaker. I'm trying to. Look, if it is the Speaker's view that MPs serving as chairs and members of boards makes them less critical of government.
Ministers.
What about
the ministers?
The constitutional provision says that majority
that's exactly the point.
of members of ministers must come from Parliament.
Yeah.
That for me is the bigger issue.
It is.
That for me is the bigger issue.
It is because Doc, if you speak to members of
if you have
Parliament,
about 50 of your members serving in government as ministers and deputy ministers, if your view is that anybody who serves in the executive will be less critical of government, then what you should be blaming is the Constitution. You cannot say that it is not part of the concept we have in the 92 Constitution. It's the 92 Constitution that has created it. By saying that majority of ministers must come from Parliament. So if a member of a board will be less critical of a government, what about the one who sits in cabinet?
No, but you see, Randy, so again, we come back to this whole constitutional review commission work that was done some years back, and the views that were preferred by ordinary Ghanaians in terms of how we can be able to strengthen and enhance our democracy. And there's a clear departure from the concept of separation of powers here. I mean, that's my personal view. I mean, of course, I'm sure that at the time that the Constitution was being put together, it made sense at the time. But at this point, with all the challenges that we're facing, and even this attendant challenges with the possibility, there's no more a possibility. Now, at this point, we even have a hung parliament. It could even be something totally different as we go further in terms of, we'll come to a point where one day you would have a majority in parliament, but the president executive comes from a totally different political party. You understand what I'm saying? So as a people, we need to be very dispassionate about some of these conversations. But you see, it becomes very difficult because at every point in time, a group would be benefiting from that issue. You understand what I'm saying? And then so it becomes extremely difficult to deal with the matter in the way we should deal with it. So yes, he has his own views on the matter, but the reality on it is that, like you indicated, is a constitution that actually has created the issues. And now that we are privy and we are all open and seeing how even vexed and the tension that we are experiencing in this current 8th Parliament is this something that we still want to continue? Because it will get to a point, I'm not being a doomsday prophet, but that day might come.
And you see, even for some of the boards,
yes,
the institutional representation, Parliament itself has some positions on some.
Right, yeah. But you see, but even then, if you want to go to the extreme, in an unlikely event that you have...
You know, my position on this one, why I find it interesting is that I've had this position for over 20 years. Yeah. And as far as I'm concerned, that constitutional provision that says the majority of ministers must come from Parliament by itself makes Parliament subservient to the executive.
Exactly.
And I believe that many people who even struggle to go to Parliament do so not because they really want to be in the legislature, but because it is a route to get into the executive.
Yes. And for me, I also feel...
You know what I'm saying? And I think that is one of the things that has made Parliament less assertive. You know, and that's something that we need to look at. If we really want Parliament to play that role, the oversight role on the executive, we must look at that, because people cannot be part of government and come and sit in Parliament and be critical of the government that they are part of. But people who also are trying to catch the eye of the president, they have not had it yet. They are trying to catch the president's eye. They also should come and be critical of the...
Doc, I think that you agree with me that this current Parliament is the only Parliament that we have seen since '92 that has attempted to play or to hold the executive
because of the numbers.
Because of the numbers.
So even with that, I'll give you an example. See, when ministers misbehave towards Parliament.
Yes.
When ministers misbehave towards Parliament.
We saw a lot of that in the last
Parliament has the power to censure a minister. But you need the votes of the other side to be able to achieve that.
Yes.
Although on the quiet, they would complain with you and agree with you.
Yes.
You won't get their votes on the floor.
Yes, you won't get it because they are colleagues at cabinet and all of that. So you know, the point I really want to make is that I agree with you on the constitutional provision concerning members of Parliament, majority of ministers coming from Parliament. I think that aspect of the Constitution needs some revision or must be amended, because Parliament must have the mandate to strictly hold the executive to account. And the truth is that when you speak to MPs, many of the members of Parliament, right after winning their seats and their party is in power, they spend all the time lobbying to be ministers. And so if you don't have the opportunity to be appointed a minister and you are even given a board membership, all they are waiting for is a certain reshuffle. So they spend all the time in Parliament instead of giving quality representation to their constituents, the people who elected them to represent them. They are always spending the time trying to please the government, the appointing authority, so that in case of any reshuffle, they can be considered. And so I am very happy that Speaker is the one raising this conversation, because Speaker himself, at a point, was a member of Parliament and also served as a minister. And so it is insightful to know that many of us who are not MPs, but hold the view that constitutional provision about members of majority of ministers coming from Parliament must be changed. If you have a minister or a former minister, a former member of Parliament who is now Speaker, he served in all of these positions, he sees it from that angle, it means that the conversation can go on. Because Parliament...
I mean, for me, my issue with the Speaker is
he spoke only about the board.
The biggest problem is the ministerial.
Yes.
Issue
yes.
is that serving in the executive makes you less critical of government. Then the focus should be on majority of ministers coming from Parliament.
So I'm not holding brief for Speaker.
You don't get the problem.
I get your point. Yes. And I agree with you perfectly.
If his issue is that, if his issue is that, look, he thinks that serving on boards constitutes office of profit.
Yes.
And therefore, permission must be sought.
Yes.
If that is the issue, you can deal with that. As a separate issue.
Those are legalities.
But if he goes on to say that their service on these boards makes them less critical of government in Parliament, then I say that those who are actually sitting in cabinet and are part of the ministerial team, if a board member can be less critical of government, what about a minister or deputy minister?
So Doc, I agree with you perfectly.
In fact, the leader of government business in the House sits in cabinet. Is a minister.
Yes, a minister. Is a minister for parliamentary business. Doc, I agree with you perfectly. But not to hold me for speaker, but my point is that maybe I'm just assuming, I may be wrong. The speaker left out the most important one, which has to do with the ministers, because maybe that is a constitutional provision which compels the appointing authority, the executive. But with the appointment to boards and all of these other places that the Honorable Speaker was talking about, there is no constitutional provision that compels the executive to do so. But I agree with you that we need to look at that provision. Because it is the job of a member of parliament, and I find it very, very difficult that parliament over the years has become a rubber stamp, especially when you have. So I was asking somebody recently, that Doc, are you telling me that all the 137 members of parliament from the side of the NPP, not a single person finds anything wrong with the e-levy? That's a question I asked. That how possible is it that 137 members of parliament on the side of the NPP, not a single member of parliament had the courage to raise opposition?
You speak with them. You speak with them in private.
Exactly.
There are some who will tell you they don't like, but that is what the government wants.
No, that is what the government wants. And then because they see themselves as key members of government, and those who are not even yet ministers or even serving on the boards are only waiting to be appointed in terms of a reshuffle. And so let us please the government. And I think that is a big issue that we must look at. So, Speaker, yes, he's raised a very genuine concern, but the biggest problem is not
the Speaker has an issue when it comes to, first of all, if the boards are considered to be office of profit or emolument.
Yes.
Then they fit into the same category where, for example, if you are an MP and you are, say, a lawyer,
yes,
and you want to continue running your law firm,
you need to write to the Speaker.
There's a committee in Parliament that you apply to. They will make recommendations and send to the Speaker. The Speaker believes that those who are appointed onto boards also fall within that category. So they must also apply. Because the law says that whether public or private.
Yeah.
That's the point he's making. My departure with him in terms of he going for the jugular is when he relates that service to being less critical of government.
But Doc, there's another question. I agree with you. There's another question that we have to ask. We know for a fact that when you are a member of parliament and you are serving as a minister, your salary structure is adjusted in such a way that you don't find yourself taking double salaries.
You are giving that of the minister.
You are giving that of the minister. That's the point I'm making. Now, do we know for a fact whether members of...
on boards you are not paid salaries.
You are giving certain allowances.
The allowances.
And so those ones
they are not salaries.
It's permitted. Yes. What about issues of the ex gratia and all these emoluments?
Board members are not paid ex gratia.
The public board members are not given board members. So that I think that then we really do not have a big issue with the financials, but it's about the performance of the MPs and whether their membership of the boards makes them less critical of government. If that is the point of Speaker, then I think that ministers rather are the ones that we should be focused on, and so that provision should be looked at.
Yes, quickly.
Right, Randy. So you see, sometimes principle is important. I mean, I don't believe that if you say that all 137 members of parliament from the MPP side believe that the e-levy is a good thing, there's a challenge. All the 137 members from the NDC side also believe that it's a bad thing. True. So it's about principle. There's an issue to do with the whip system that we run in our parliament, right? Because you're there, in as much as you're there to serve your people, you're there also on the backdrop of a ticket of a political party. And then even when it comes to the issue to do with the executive, right? There's also a concept and a major principle of governance called collective responsibility, right? Which means that if you go into a cabinet and a decision has been taken, regardless of how you feel about it, once the majority go towards a certain tangent, you're supposed to do that. What tends to happen now is that now at this point you're coming to Parliament and you find yourself in a certain quandary as to if you go by your initial objection to a particular public policy or decision that has been taken, or you go by the collective responsibility that you're bound by, right? So the Constitution itself has created this dichotomy, this challenge, right? And it has to be fixed. It's the same as a little bit of it's the same as even voting into office for MMDCs and DCEs. It will come to a time where we would have to come back to that conversation. Look at some of the chaos that happens when, just a few members, assembly members are supposed to approve a nominee, and it goes back and forth, and sometimes it actually stalls development at the local level because a few people disagree with the choice that has been made. So whilst we go forward, we need to start making pragmatic choices when it comes to some of these provisions.
All right, okay, so thanks gentlemen for joining me. We need to go. Up next is GMG Trends.
Are you hopeful about Ghana?
I cannot afford not.
Is it just because you are Ghanaian?
There's too much going for Ghana for it not to work.
Ghana is not a poor country.
And why do you say that?
We are a poorly managed country.
Lifestyle, the way and manner a people live, their politics, way of governance, socio-cultural lifestyle, health habits, and everything that comes with it. Lifestyle with Rosie is a show about Ghana and for Ghana.
Is there something like an ideal time for a woman to have a child?
Early 20s.
Doc, you agree with me?
The time they are telling you, don't be, that is the time that your body says, yes, this is the best time.
Interesting. Are people taking more mortgage, or people are self-building their homes still as it's been?
Vast number of people still out there that are buying the land. Unfortunately, some people actually pass away and that building never gets completed.
But you can also die through paying mortgage.
Well, there's a way to go around that anyway, so you're covered.
Right. Ghana is for us. If we don't talk about our issues and highlight our challenges and find solutions to them, who will? Lifestyle with Rosie is here to bring you all the intricate conversations of nation building, on health, and all the complexities of life that we find difficult to talk about as a people. Hi, my name is Rosie, and I'm your host on this show. There are no limits to what to expect. It's educative, informative, thought-provoking, and very exciting. And oh yes, I can't wait to spend time with you Saturdays at 6 p.m. Make a date.
Welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. And it's time to check out what is trending on social media with Desi, the star boy. Good morning, Desi.
Good morning, Papa Randy.
Have you ever come across a person who wears only black apparel, including his underwear? Everything. So boxer singlet, black.
And it's a constant thing?
Every day, clothes black. If you go to his room, his curtains are black. The bed sheets, duvet, black. Pillowcase is black.
Hey.
Have you ever come across
No.
Everything black.
No.
Always in a black cap, black bag.
Hey, that's one day you like so cold.
It's called BB Mensen, the virus, radio good.
Hey,
yes. Today is his birthday.
You know, it'll be weird. It'll be weird being around, like everything black.
Yeah, everything black. He's been doing it the last 20 years or so. Black, everything black.
Okay, that's quite interesting.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Seeing the virus.
Yeah. Oh, then indeed it's the virus. Yeah.
What's up?
So E-Levy, you know, at the Assembly.
What again?
The realistic nature of it with the mobile money agents. There's a video I'm going to show you, and then we'll talk about Doomsaw. People are asking if Doomsaw is back again, and then some of your comments. Let's begin with Good Morning Ghana, and always you can join in with the hashtag Good Morning Ghana on Twitter or tweet at Metro TV. This one says that Good Morning Ghana and Metro TV. The Venerable Chachuchi Kata gave it to the court again. He asked if the judges have the same understanding all the time, or they have been following a script. That is Maxwell's tweets there. And this one says that the response by government to the tidal waves victims in the Volta region is slow and very inadequate. It is also pathetic, to say the least. The government was proactive when it happened in Apiate, but it is reactive when it's about the Volta region. Maxwell thinks that the government is being slow with that particular situation there. And Musa Bato says, Asin North MP's case is clearly an attempt by the government to use any foul means to get Honorable Kwesi out of Parliament by implementation, reducing the number of NDC in order to have a slim way to implement their wicked agenda. Nothing more. Musa Bato sends that in. And minority who lack leadership now, you are fighting your own NDC speaker. Is Adwa Safo your member? Why not fight the Asin North MP and NDC, a party with no vision? Oh, okay. So those are some of your comments that have come in. Let's quickly talk about Doomsaw, because people are asking whether Doomsaw is back. Some parts of Accra were in darkness, and others are also complaining about load shedding in their areas. And the question is Doomsaw back? What is it with these constant power outages? Is Doomsaw back or something? Well, Frank Hucho is asking. So it says, no water, Doomsaw return, E-Levy. Oh, I'm sorry, okay. So then brings that one in on Twitter. And this one says, the scariest thing about what ECG official is doing right now is the low current power supply. It's fine if lights totally goes off, Doomsaw, but low current, it turns houses, damages homes, appliances, and a lot more. So that's his tweet about Doomsaw. They've done it again, or at least they should put out a timetable if Doomsaw is back this month. Bring that in. Is it Doomsaw or what? People are asking whether it's Doomsaw.
In my neighborhood, the light goes off every day.
Every day?
Every single day.
So that one, is it Doomsaw?
I don't know. Every single day.
Okay. So one of our favorite characters when it comes to skits in this country, Nana Yeboah. Is that the skit about E-Levy? I want us to watch it.
I'm missing 400.
Ah, say for me there.
I'm at 300. I'm at 300.
We for me that 11 to 1 million. 11.
And 11 says. Now, probably 1 million I want here. He let watch me at 10 city, at 5 city. 1 million I want here from Mr. Now 11 one at the buy.
Catch a man paying. I mean,
1 man paying was a swap at my. Woman penny, I was in a man with some of my. Now, me will be a Mr. Castle, I bet 1 minute for 11. Each 12, each 13. What's that? Family come, Papa. I'm not a man. Master, my papa says, I'm the family come. I'm 4 minutes, I'm 3 minutes, 11.
Who is for me that 1 million?
1 million,
1 million.
Beer, 1 million. I say, I said, I 1 million. Scanner, there, what are you, Mamma? 1 million. That's also man on our one. You have the kind of say at in ever be you know, the first one from there. What were your mamma from me come and made your men for? Boss,
when you send you, son, to Sabati,
and you want me to break what's 1 million. Now, I was so mad to my and you want him to power, and then you was someone wanted.
11 for me.
This is complete fraud.
And you see, those are some of the things.
It's complete fraud. The guy was just trying to defraud them.
Yeah, defraud them, and those are some of the concerns that are with the calculation. Who was going to, really say that this is the amount and all of that. So yes, so let's see how that is going to pan out. 11,
that was the funny part.
See 11. E12. 11. Oh, it's
so okay. So he said E11.
E11. He said that
E11.
E12.
Oh, okay.
E13. Okay. So yeah. So now, please, anywhere you go, make sure you open your eye clear and see things for yourself. Yeah. So doc, that's it.
I see you really like this in the present day in Parliament.
Because I said when you do. It's every aspect. So
I've shown the video many times. I still can't believe he did that.
Open your eyes, because they are taxing industry, not people. That's it for the morning. My name is Jesse Faded.
Are you an industry?
I'm a person.
Okay.
I'm one.
So the next time they are charging you 11, you tell them I'm not an industry.
I'm one.
Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. Go enjoy the rest of your day. So happy birthday once again to Mike Dokosi, editor of the Daily Post, and BB Mensin, the virus of Radio Go. Today's your birthday as well. Interestingly, both of you were mates at Presec. Titi Katino, your mate, told me about that. And Kwame Adofori, yesterday was your birthday. Happy belated birthday to you. Okay, what's Bridget to do here? The assembly. Okay, all right. So at 7 p.m. she says the assembly. So 7 p.m. make a date with Bridget Toto on Newsnight. So she has assembly for you. Okay, maybe E12 and E13. That will be it for today's edition of Good Morning Ghana. God willing, will be with you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring.